He felt he had never loved his wife until he lost her in an accident. When he woke up in the hospital, his father-in-law, tears in his eyes, told him the news of his wife's passing. However, he remained unusually calm, calmly gazing at the bed where efforts were made to save his wife and the blood-stained sheets. Calmly, he picked up a piece of paper from the trash, wiped away the bloodstains from his shoes, and approached the vending machine with a sense of calmness, wanting to buy a pack of chocolates. However, the chocolate got stuck. He still displayed no emotions, merely capturing the contact information on the vending machine with his camera. At the funeral, friends and family wept and sobbed, their faces filled with despair, while he stood by like an outsider, standing still. Later that night, everyone gathered in the house, playing sorrowful music and sharing memories of his wife. He looked around, unsure of what to say. Not wanting to disrupt the atmosphere, he retreated to the restroom, squeezing his facial features together in an attempt to force out a few tears, but he was unsuccessful. It seems he truly didn't love his wife. Father sent a comforting text message. When he swiped away the message, he saw the photo of that vending machine. So, he picked up a pen and wrote a letter to the vending machine company. Addressed to the vending machine company, I am writing this letter to share an unpleasant shopping experience I had at the vending machine located at St. Andrew's Hospital. I inserted 5 25-cent coins into the machine, expecting to receive a bag of chocolates. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I was very hungry at the time, and my wife had passed away just 10 minutes earlier. I'm not mentioning this to seek sympathy but rather to provide a detailed account of the situation. Perhaps I should start from the beginning. Continuing, he meticulously wrote down every detail of how he met, got to know, and married his wife. It seemed to him that revealing the intricacies of the first half of his life to a stranger over a bag of chocolates was a reasonable thing to do. He wrote about their life after marriage, how he woke up at 5:30 a.m. to run for 50 minutes, then showered and got ready for work, while his wife lazily got up from bed. Without realizing it, he filled several sheets of paper. Afterward, just like any other day, he woke up at 5:30 a.m., ran for 50 minutes, showered, and prepared for work. The only difference was the absence of his wife's presence. He began to unconsciously notice things he had never paid attention to before, like his wife's hair on the comb and the seashell on the table, which used to be her favorite. There were also unrelated things that caught his attention, like squirrels on the roadside and trees uprooted by the wind. It was as if a piece of essential memory was missing from his life, and he needed to find something to fill that void. When he arrived at the office, his colleagues looked at him in surprise. It was only the second day after the funeral, and he should have been resting at home. Soon, someone came in to offer their condolences. After work, his father-in-law found him and said a bunch of heartfelt words. The next morning, his father once again inexplicably helped him trim the bushes. It seemed like everyone wanted to console his grief, but he couldn't feel any sadness at all. On the train to work, he suddenly turned to the stranger next to him and said, "I didn't love my wife. I know it's pathetic to say this, but she's gone now, and I don't feel any sadness or pain." But when the stranger asked what that felt like, he froze. Then, as if possessed, he pulled the emergency stop device on the train, leaving everyone startled. Facing the police's questioning, he couldn't provide a coherent answer. Back at home, he looked at the leaking refrigerator and grabbed tools to start repairing it. His father-in-law had once told him that to fix something, you need to dismantle all the parts and find where it's broken. Repairing a person's heart is the same: disassemble, repair, and then reassemble. Unfortunately, he only learned how to disassemble. After dismantling the refrigerator into a mess, he couldn't put it back together again. However, he strangely became fond of this disassembling sensation. He disassembled the office computer, the lamps in his father-in-law's house, and even the coffee machine his wife bought, reducing it to a scattered pile of parts. But that wasn't enough. When he saw construction workers demolishing a building, he took out all the cash he had and begged to join in. The workers were bewildered, but they agreed due to the money. He took off his wedding ring, grabbed a sledgehammer, and worked harder than anyone else. After taking a shower that day, he suddenly saw his wife's figure in the mirror, but it disappeared in an instant. The air around him seemed to freeze at that moment. He took deep breaths, yet still felt suffocated. He thought he was sick and went to the hospital for a checkup. In his imagination, the doctor told him that a part of his heart was missing. However, in reality, his body showed no anomalies. So he went to help demolish a building, and he ended up stepping on a nail. It was the first time he felt a negative emotion after his wife's death. Although it was pain and not sadness, it at least reminded him that he was still alive. One day, he heard his friend's son playing rock music. The noisy and boisterous music excited him slightly. Following the rhythm like a zombie, he started moving his body. From then on, he wore headphones and immersed himself in the world of rock music. He danced wildly in the streets as if he felt no sadness. He kept seeking excitement and happiness. After finishing demolishing buildings at the construction site, he brought in a bulldozer and crashed it into his own house. The exquisite mansion turned into ruins. Standing on the debris, he felt a sense of relief. Then he walked into the bedroom filled with memories, lifted a sledgehammer, and smashed the vanity fiercely. It was as if this action could shatter the darkness in his heart, and break the cold reality. A letter fell out from the vanity. Opening it, he found his wife's pregnancy test report from a year ago. Yet he had never known she was pregnant. He wanted to go to his in-laws' house and ask for clarification. The sunlight was glaring on the way there. He lowered the sun visor, and there was a sticky note left by his wife inside, but he had no mood to read it. His father-in-law and mother-in-law were holding a memorial service for his wife when he arrived. He confronted them in front of everyone, asking if they knew about his wife's pregnancy. Looking at his mother-in-law's expression, he got his answer. As he was about to leave, his mother-in-law followed him and told him that it wasn't his child, so his wife had undergone surgery at the hospital. The next day, he brought flowers to the cemetery. A stranger was also standing in front of the grave. He thought this was his wife's lover, but the stranger was actually the driver of the opposite car in the accident. The man kept apologizing, and as he continued talking, he started crying. He had to step forward and comfort the driver. When he got back to his car, he picked up the sticky note he had thrown away. On it was a little joke his wife had written: "If it rains, you won't see me. If it's sunny, you'll think of me." His wife always liked to use these little notes to make her laugh. And he could always understand his wife's sense of humor in an instant. But as he laughed, he started crying, and his longing for his wife poured out like a flood. Past scenes flashed before his eyes. He used to think that the relationship between him and his wife was only an intimate bond formed by a marriage contract, worn away day by day in the routine of life. However, he didn't realize that he had already become an inseparable part of his own life. This silent and gentle companionship was more deeply ingrained than any grand vows of love. This was love. When facing the departure of a loved one, what's even harder than enduring the pain is facing reality. It wasn't until today that he truly accepted his wife's departure. The belated sorrow allowed him to let go of his wife's faults and finally forgive his own numbness. His wife used to take care of troubled children. With the insurance money she left behind, he built a carousel by the seaside exclusively for the children. There's a scene in the movie where he listens to rock music and walks through the crowd, wearing headphones and sunglasses, isolating himself from the world. Everything around him seems to be moving backward, as if the whole world is sick. But in reality, only he is sick, only he is moving backward. Now, he still can't forget the painful memories of losing his wife, but he can finally move forward with those memories of pain, through rain and storm, because ahead, there must be sunshine.